Hello, my name is Vincent-Fix, and I will be your tour guide today. I am from Eastern Michigan University's Preservation Studies program. I'm giving this tour about Black history in Ypsilanti. And before we get into the tour, I was just wondering, where are some of you in the audience from today?
I'm from Comstock Park.
Comstock Park. Is that in Michigan?
Yeah, it's like right near Grand Rapids.
Okay, well, what brings you to the area?
I moved here to Ypsilanti because my husband goes to Eastern.
Are you enjoying your time here?
Yeah, it's really great.
Well, I am really glad that you're joining me on this tour today. I was just wondering, what made you want to come out to take this tour?
I am just new to the area and really wanted to learn about some of the history and about the community, especially the African American community around here.
Well, we're definitely going to be learning a lot about Black history in Ypsilanti today, especially about early Black settlement in the area. This tour today will take about 10 to 15 minutes. Since we are in a public area and not on a site, unfortunately, there are no public bathrooms immediately in the vicinity, and there are no places to sit down. But I will keep this short and sweet for you today. So today are going to be learning about how Black Ypsilantians built community in the face of adversity. This tour today is going to center on these two buildings that you can see next to me. This building on my left currently serves as the New Jerusalem Baptist Church, but in 1864 it was constructed as the first ward school, and it was built specifically to educate the Black children in Ypsilanti. This building on my right is the historical location of the Brown Chapel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Currently it serves as the Reach Church, but for the first 75 years of Black settlement in Ypsilanti, it was one of two churches that were built to serve the Black community. So I'm going to walk you over to this church because in the 1840s, when Black settlement began in Ypsilanti, Black Ypsilantians arrived here on the Underground Railroad, many of them having escaped from slavery. So, churches were the early safe havens for the Black community. They were places where Black people could come and gather and just have foster community with one another. So this congregation, the Brown Chapel, originally started meeting in the 1840s, and in 1848 it was recognized as one of the earliest Black congregations in Michigan. So in 1856, this site where the church is now was donated to the congregation for them to build a permanent place of worship. And as the Black community began growing in Ypsilanti, there also grew a need for them to have a permanent location for them to educate their children. So that takes us over to the first ward school building. So this, as I stated previously, was built in 1864 during the Civil War, specifically to educate Black children in Ypsilanti. And this was a safe space for children to come together, to be educated, and to, learn and grow as people. But in addition to being a safe space for the children to grow up and get their education, it also served as a safe space for Black teachers to come and teach where they knew they wouldn't be discriminated against and where they knew that they would be respected. So the first principal of the First Ward School, Reverend Isaac Burdine, was actually the first Black principal in Michigan, an opportunity that wouldn't have been given to him if this school had never been built. Another reverend with a connection to the First Ward School building is H.P. Jacobs. H.P. Jacobs escaped from slavery in Missouri. with his wife and his 3 children. And so he escaped on the Underground Railroad, ended up here in Ypsilanti, and to get established in the community, he actually took a job as a janitor at the Michigan State Normal School, which is now known as Eastern Michigan University. And Reverend H.P. Jacobs also served as the leader of the second church that served black community in Ypsilanti, the Second Baptist Church. And their congregation often held meetings at the First Ward School building because they didn't have a permanent place of worship yet. In addition to being a janitor at the Michigan State Normal School, H.P. Jacobs' children were also the first black students to attend school at the Michigan State Normal School. His daughter Anna graduated from the Normal School's conservatory, and she became a very talented pianist and music teacher that served children in the area. Her husband was also an influential leader in Ypsilanti's black civic life. He was considered to be the most successful black barber in Ypsilanti. His name was Robert DeHazen. So, in addition to the Jacobs family, another black family with a connection to both the First Ward School and the Brown Chapel were the Kerseys. So Bernice Kersey was the last teacher to work at the First Ward School before it closed in 1919, and one of her relatives was the one who designed this building. That he designed it in 1901, and it was actually constructed by the Brown Chapel congregation. They gathered people that worked in construction within the congregation, and they laid all of the bricks and the foundation for this building, and it was completed in 1905. So this building, the Brown Chapel, is really a building that was built with love. It built upon the strength of the black community in Ypsilanti. But while these buildings did both serve as safe havens for the black community, prior to and after the Civil War, about the 1880s, tolerance became reduced in Ypsilanti and discrimination increased as white supremacist ideals got to the area. So, unfortunately, Jim Crow segregation laws were established here in Ypsilanti, and the black community that was once scattered throughout all of Ypsilanti in houses all over the city, they were forced to all move to the First Ward. So it quickly became overcrowded, and the school was neglected by the city, so it was underfunded, and now all of the black community had to send their children here. And the population had grown so exponentially since the 1840s that there just wasn't room in the building to educate all of the black children. And also, they didn't update the building at all since it was constructed during the Civil War. So it was heated with an antiquated stove that let off more smoke than heat. So it wasn't safe anymore for children to attend school here. So, using this as a site to fight for their civil rights, the black community came together and signed a petition to the city to end segregation in Ypsilanti and close this school so that they could send their children to other schools in the area that were much more safe and healthy for their children to attend. And they successfully got the school closed in 1919, and that is when segregation also ended in Ypsilanti. The Brown Chapel remained a safe haven for the black community during this entire ordeal, but It also served as a place for the black community to rally together and fight for their civil rights. Beginning in the 1870s, this served as a site for rallies for black suffrage, which resulted in the 15th Amendment and suffrage for black men. And then it also served as a site for black women to fight for their suffrage in the 1910s. So, as you can see, both of these locations have been very important in establishing black community in Ypsilanti, and it was a site for escaped slaves to come and fight for their civil rights, and also for freed black people to build their community. So, thank you for joining me on this tour today. I was just wondering, do you have any questions for me?
So which building was built first?
So, this building was built in 1901. Prior to then, it was only used as, there was only like a makeshift structure here. So, this was built first as a permanent structure in
Oh.
1864. But they had been using this site since 1856 for their congregation to meet.
Very cool.
Well, if there's no more questions today, I just wanted to say thank you for joining me. And if you want to learn any more about Black life in Ypsilanti, I recommend that you look at Preservation Studies alum's website. His name is Matt Siegfried, and his website is 1900 South Adams Street.wordpress.com. And he's done a lot of research into the black community in Ypsilanti. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you have a great day.